Ashley Heidemann from JD Advising. Before we dive into our video, let me give you some background on our completely free law school prep course. You can find a link below and sign up to access it right away. And if you find this video helpful, please like and subscribe to our channel. As of this taping, we have literally thousands of students enrolled in this free law school prep course. We're also very grateful that students rated this course an average of 4.76 out of 5. This course is posted as a free resource on the Law School Admission Council, or LSAC's website, and was just mentioned last month by U.S. News & World Report and the National Jurist as being a helpful law school resource. It has also been promoted by the National Black Law Students Association, Phi Alpha Delta, and various law schools and undergraduate institutions across the country.
In this video, we're going to be discussing the Socratic method, what it is, why law school professors use it, and how you can prepare for it in law school. The Socratic method has its roots in ancient Greek philosophy, dating back to Plato and Socrates. The Socratic method is a question and answer format with the whole purpose to spark critical thinking. Law school professors like to engage in the Socratic method to discuss cases, more specifically to discuss specific parts of cases, like the facts, the holding, which is the opinion reached by the court, and they also like to employ the Socratic method to teach students how they can apply the rule of law or the holding to different hypothetical factual situations. Professors like the Socratic method, and oftentimes most 1L professors will structure their whole class based on the Socratic method. Thus, when you come to class, they're not necessarily just going to lecture. They're going to explain the law to you by utilizing the Socratic method format. Sometimes this process is referred to as cold calling on students. So if you've ever heard that someone has been cold called, they're referring to the Socratic method and the fact that they have experienced it themselves in law school. What does the Socratic method look like? Generally, this is some version of a question and answer format. However, every professor has a different style. You will be able to quickly pick up on your professor's style, and you can usually do this after the first few days of class. Most professors call on students randomly. Sometimes the professor uses the class roster to pick someone at random, or others will pull names out of a jar. But the main takeaway is that it's random. Other professors will just work through a class roster in alphabetical order. I have had some professors who go up and down the rows in the classroom. Still, other professors may take volunteers. There is no one way that the Socratic method works. There are different approaches. You will have different professors, so you will probably experience a variety of different approaches yourself. We recommend that you observe a law school class if you haven't already. You should reach out to your local law school's admissions office and see if there are certain classes where you are allowed to sit in and observe. If you have the ability to pick, we recommend that you sit in on a 1L class. This will be the best example of what you can expect in your 1L classes, since most 1L classes follow the Socratic method in some format. There are also some examples of what a law school class is like available online. Many times, law schools have videos available to their admitted students, so be sure to ask. We've also provided you with some examples and the links to those examples on this handout. The examples come from different schools, so they give you some exposure to the different ways that a class can be conducted according to the Socratic method. You may be wondering, why do professors actually structure their classes this way? They do this to teach students how to take the legal rule and apply it to different factual scenarios. This trains law students how to think and reason on their feet. By the time a law student graduates from law school, they have a lot of experience at this, which makes them better lawyers. Further, this is a great way to get the whole class engaged, rather than just people who ask the most questions or volunteer the most. The Socratic method is anxiety-provoking for many law students because they know there is a good chance they will get called on at random and be asked a whole bunch of questions. Thus, many people wonder how to prepare for class. We recommend that you make sure you know the cases that are assigned for class that day. This means you know the basic facts, the procedural posture of the case, in other words, how the case got to where it is, the holding, and the reasoning behind the holding. It is important to know the reasoning behind the holding because the professor may ask if you agree with it or other questions related to the holding. Thus, you want to be prepared. Now that you have a better idea about how to prepare for class, we want to give you some things to remember. The Socratic method, or cold calling, is stressful and nerve-wracking. It's normal for people to feel stressed out about this process or to be worried that the professor will ask a question that you don't know the answer to. So keep a few things in mind. First, cold calls usually don't influence your grade. Most professors base your grade upon your performance on your final exam, and that's it. So, while you don't want to look silly in front of your whole class, you should know that if it doesn't go perfectly, that is okay. What you say is not going to cause you to get a bad grade. Further, messing up while being called on is embarrassing, but it happens to everyone. No one will remember what you say. Most people are more focused on being called on next and what they will say. We also recommend that you keep your eyes on the goal. The whole purpose behind preparing for class and going to class and sitting through the lecture is for you to learn the law and how to apply it on the final exam. So if you keep your eyes on the prize, you'll get a little bit less caught up in the process, and it will take away some stress from ultimately possibly getting called on. We also recommend that you look at getting cold called on as a learning opportunity. In real life, if you're litigating a case in front of a judge, you don't want to mess up because usually in real life, it is high stakes and your mistake could have a very real repercussion for you and or your client. Here in class, if you're cold called and you don't know the answer or you don't respond perfectly, that's okay. Worst case scenario is you feel silly for a second and your professor will likely move on or ask the question in a different way or follow up. It's very low stakes, so take it as a learning opportunity. And as a final tip, we recommend that when you're called on, you respond in a voice where your whole class can hear you. You may be nervous and your reaction may be to speak quietly, but that will just cause your professor to hound you to speak louder, which won't make you feel better if you're already stressed out or trying to think about what to say next. Thus, we recommend you remember to keep your voice up or at a tone that the whole room can hear you. Now you know what the Socratic method is, how to prepare for class, and some tips. We hope you found this video helpful.